Back for the last time with more Bly Manor. This is episode 9. This is the finale. Very excited, very nervous to see how it all wraps up. Just knowing it's like a self-contained thing and they're not necessarily going to be like, here's what's coming in season 2. It is going to be interesting to see what goes down and how this story gets finished off. I think they did a fantastic job when it came to Hill House, kind of wrapping up the story. I thought they did a really great job with it, putting all the characters in different places. But I liked the happy ending it kind of had, which makes me nervous that it's not going to be quite so happy with this one. Maybe they're going to change it up in that sense. So we'll see. I mean, a lot has already gone down. The fact that Miles is potentially just gone forever is not ideal. That doesn't exactly scream happy ever after to me. But yeah, we'll be in. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen to Danny and the kids and everyone. And Hannah, I think, is going to break my heart, given that it's not exactly like she can just magically come back to life, I would assume. But yeah, as long as most people are happy, please. I don't know. However things get resolved, or if they don't get resolved, I've really enjoyed Bly Manor a lot. These past 8 episodes have been really fun to kind of explore and delve into. I'm glad I kind of waited until Halloween time-ish to do it as well. It's close to a binge as I can really do as a reactor nowadays. So it's taken me about 2 weeks, all in all, to get through the 9 episodes. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what's in store. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the journey thus far with me watching it. I don't know for sure, because the reactions don't start for another week yet. A week today. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited regardless. Also extremely nervous and scared. But yeah, let's get into it.
I would think that I would very much like to spend the rest of my days with you.
Oh, fuck.
Listening to your dreadful puns. Holding your hand.
Puns are not dreadful.
You have loved me, so I'll always be here. But you don't want me to be hurt. We both know you're not so selfish to remain hidden in the memory.
No, you're going to help them. Ugh.
Please.
Oh, little girl in her daughter's bed, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's horrible. They're trying to sing it still. Oh!
I gave you your freedom.
You gave her a little girl, buddy. Come on, Henry. Save the day. Ooh! Fuck! Oh, shit, he's dead! The history books were right, and Uncle Henry was also there.
They need you at the lake.
Oh, God. Oh.
I'll feel it for you. I'll just tuck you away one last time.
Oh.
You let me handle this.
The fact that she'd go through drowning again for Flora, though.
It's you! It's me! It's us!
Oh my God, she's gonna let Viola take her over. Oh God.
Please tell Owen I'm sorry. Tell him I love him. And the rest, well, it's just...
Is it just confetti?
Sorry.
Yeah, fuck you. Go to hell.
The au pair invited Viola into herself, and the invitation had been accepted.
Oh my God.
In that instant, the spell that Viola had cast over Bly was broken.
Flora!
Okay.
Where's Hannah?
No, I don't want to see that, thanks. No, I refuse. Thankfully, I can't really see the tears.
Owen assisted 5 men from town where they gently lifted the house.
He helps get her out. Oh, kill me!
It was assumed she died accidentally. An unfortunate stumble.
Fuck Peter.
Do you have any other stories?
about your father? Yes, I do. A lot of them. And your mother, too.
Oh.
He stayed at her side until she was buried.
Fuck off.
And he loved her the whole way.
Oh, shut up.
I'm told, and I believe, that he loves her still.
So is she still Danny? Why isn't Viola just completely taken over her? To like half and half it?
I'm walking through this dense, overgrown jungle. And I can't really see anything except the path in front of me. But I know
That was her existence for God knows how long, wasn't it?
at some point he's gonna take me.
Oh God.
While you wait for your beast in the jungle,
Hmm.
do you want company?
It'd be a way of her not thinking about that all the time.
For you.
Aww. Keep you safe.
It's you.
It's me. It's us.
I don't know how I will ever thank you.
Bonus would be nice.
Well, I'm just so goddamn lucky, aren't I?
Hmm.
One day at a time is fine by me. As long as those days with you pop in.
Aww.
One day at a time is all we've got. It's what everybody's got when you get dumped.
It's true. Tomorrow isn't promised.
Yeah.
Is that the moonflower thing?
Is that a moonflower?
Yeah.
Aww.
So it seemed.
Aww. I'm glad that they get a good amount of time.
And that peace held for years. Which is more than some of us ever get.
Oh, but that makes it sound like there isn't peace. Oh, no. Seeing something in her reflections again after all that time as well. Ugh.
Well, there's your problem. Your roots.
Oh. If that's not smooth as fuck, I don't know what
Here's
is.
the thing. You should wear the
Aw.
ring so you will know. Okay? And that's enough for me.
She's gone from being like, oh, I don't think any people are worth it, to this, like, ugh. Wholesome. Beast in the jungle can get fucked. Oh. Don't trust a hug. It's just a way to hide your face.
This is the best news.
No,
So happy
no,
for you both.
no, no. He's got his restaurant.
Thank you.
And no one's lodged any complaints about the name.
Okay. Okay.
Does that say a batter place? Excellent.
Tahana.
Diana.
Hey, fucking then.
Thank God he's sober now. He'd drink himself into a grave.
Oh, he's sober, good.
They don't remember anything about it.
What?
Nothing.
Oh.
It was just the kids.
I mean, thank fuck, I say.
Let them live their lives the way they should, without anything hanging over them. They deserve that. We all do.
So do they not remember Danny or anything then? Ah.
Jesus! We have so many more years. We'll keep an eye on it, and it'll be fine. Okay?
Oh, this is really sad. That would be absolutely terrifying though.
Well, if you were shy,
It's almost like her fears growing as the kids like forget theirs. It's like she has to bear it for them.
it's getting harder and harder to see me.
God.
If you can't feel anything, then I'll feel everything for the both of us. But no one.
Everyone's taking all these burdens for everyone. Oh God. Music, you can stop. Stop it. Oh God.
And she could not risk the most important thing. Her most important person.
Oh no.
Not for
They don't even get a goodbye though.
with everything she had. You, me, us. Take me take me, drag me down like you did the others. The lady in the lake was also Danny. And Danny wouldn't. Danny would never. In fact, no one would ever be taken again.
Sure.
The gardener would gaze into reflections, hoping to see her face. Her own lady in the lake. She'd leave a door open at night, just a crack, should she ever come back. I told you, the story wasn't exactly short.
Shall we?
I think I'll stay here a moment.
Was that an older Owen?
Good night.
I start getting really, really terrified that he's gonna, before I do, and then what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to just live a life that he's not in?
Oh God. I think you're saying that to Jamie as well.
Don't let that hang over your happiness right now. Enjoy that easy silence with
That's what she was saying to Danny. I think that's Jamie,
what
yeah.
you've got. That name.
But then I figured, how could you know that? It's a funny coincidence, I suppose.
Is this Flora?
It's Flora.
Oh!
Is that right?
She's like telling her what she'd forgotten.
I know you're onto me. That I only come home when I'm so all alone. But I believe everything is gonna be the way you think it ought to be. Seems like every time I
Oh,
try to make it right, it all the key.
she's still waiting.
Seems like every time I try to make it right, it all comes down to me. Honestly, you won't give up on me.
Is she always there? She's not even.
I shall believe. I shall believe.
Oh my God.
I shall believe.
Okay. Oh, holy shit. I feel like I've aged about 10 years. Oh my God. What an awesome finale. I really loved how things wrapped up. I mean, very bittersweet in a lot of ways. But I think it was satisfying, if nothing else. So that's kind of the number one thing you'd want, I suppose. Oh my God. Where do I even begin? I did say, I think it was quite early on, I thought that the person telling the story was going to be Jamie. I kind of just let that slide for a bit because I don't want to get too caught up in that when I was watching what was happening in, the actual Bly Manor stuff. But, it was a similar way of speaking in a sense. I don't know how well the accents translated for people who, don't commonly speak them, but I could kind of see, like, if that was where they were going with it, there's something there. And that obviously was what it was, and her kind of telling Flora and Miles kind of the story that they'd forgotten over time, which I found very interesting. It is sad in a way, like, that they're never going to know that they were the kids. And I guess because they were talking like, oh, it's Miles and Flora and stuff, I guess she just changed a few names, maybe even a few details, so that they wouldn't, like, really cotton on. So I'm guessing maybe Miles is actually real Miles' middle name as well or something, or she just made up that name, I don't know. But, through telling that story, some details kind of need to be changed. So they can't say, oh, so-and-so was born on this exact day, and then the bride's like, excuse me, that's the exact day I was born. You're talking nonsense. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of creative liberties, I guess, Jamie took in that. And I asked last time, like, whoever's telling the story, how did they know all the history about what happened with Viola and Perdita and everything? I guess I'd say because Danny ended up taking Viola in, quite literally. She probably just, like, could access those memories or something, and Viola's memories was restored or something when she kind of found a body to host So I'm guessing that could have been a way she found out through that, maybe. I suppose it doesn't entirely matter. Or she just made up that backstory just to give the Lady of the Lake a backstory and to make the story make a bit more sense. Maybe there isn't actually a true answer about how that all happened. Because it's like what Henry was talking about way back when, if you don't know like the history of something, a history of a spectre or whatever you're seeing, give it a story and it makes it less scary. So maybe she was just doing that so she can try and make sense of it herself, exactly what was going on with that, which is an interesting idea. It probably is just this is what happened and she just knows the information as opposed to making up the backstory, so it's less scary for her. But regardless, I did really enjoy how it all tied up like that, and to have like the older Owen there and the older Henry there, and the fact that it seemed like Danny almost regrets that the kids forgot everything, because I'm assuming if they didn't really remember Hannah all that well, they probably wouldn't remember Danny either, because she was obviously looking after them during that time, and it's hard to remember Danny but not remember all the other shit that went down, I would imagine. So they probably forgot her entirely, maybe, which is very sad in itself. And maybe she'd want them to kind of know that and know about her, and just it would seem Jamie kind of found the perfect time to make that happen, I suppose, with it being Flora's wedding. So she can tell them all about Danny, all about what she did for them, even if they don't know that it actually did happen and it was really for them as well. But man, that was quite a ride. Damn. So yeah, I loved like the ending sequence and the reveal of like who everyone was. That was really nicely done. And after all these years, Jamie still leaves like the door open a bit, and she checks reflections for Danny. And that last shot of Danny, I think it was like Danny just holding her shoulder. It's almost like she's always just been there, and she just can't see that Danny's there, but maybe she's just always been around her, which is quite lovely in a way. It's like she thinks she spent all this life, like all this time without Danny around, but she has always been there. It's like what Owen was saying to Hannah in her little world, like, if you love me, I'll always be there. And I guess it works in a similar way with that. So yeah, I loved how that all turned out. The final sequence was really lovely as well, and it allowed it to make it maybe not quite so sad. Obviously it's awful that Jamie had to spend like most of her life without her person around, but she gets to see that reflected in Flora in a way, and that she's found her person. I'm sure she can find some happiness in that. She, like, it was her kind of thing, like one day at a time, just always take it like that. That's probably how she does get through it, even though they're obviously going to be difficult and hard days where you miss someone that you loved so much. I like that she still just keeps to her rituals, I guess, and that's how she keeps on going. She just takes it one day at a time, which was kind of the central point of their relationship. They didn't know how long they were going to have together, but they thought, screw it anyway. And I think that was a really good way for them to live their lives. And I love that we got to spend a good chunk of the episode of them just, seeing how many years passed for them, and the fact that they did have a nice amount of time together. Obviously not the ideal amount of time, but I just liked seeing them get to have those little moments. And I loved how Danny kind of proposed with the rearing in the plant pot and everything. That was a really lovely moment. Just how much they were kind of willing to sacrifice for each other, and the burdens everyone was willing to take with each other as well. I enjoyed Jessica. Well, I didn't enjoy it, but the fact that she was willing to like feel what it was like to drown all over again, so that Flora wouldn't have to. She was willing to take on that burden. I think Danny took on some burdens, by letting Viola kind of share her body for a bit and kind of basically give herself a death sentence with that, ultimately. And yeah, Jamie kind of making all those sacrifices in a retelling of the story, so that they don't really know it actually did happen. Kind of keeping people away from the truth as well to protect the woman she loves. I'm sure Bly Manor probably isn't even the name of the place, maybe, because if you just Google it and they went there anyway, you would probably find her. So I really liked the idea of like burdens, and the fact, you're still here, one day at a time, you are still here. They did that with Danny. Owen said that to Hannah as well, like, it has to be you, it's only you. and that ties into like the "it's you, it's me, it's us" thing that kind of went through it. I like how smart Danny was to even come up with that solution, because she'd heard them say it before with Peter and Jessica trying to do it with the kids. So she kind of knew what to do but didn't. And like, well, I got to try something. And even, it's a last ditch effort to save Flora. She succeeded in that. So I liked that. Viola also being distracted and taking Flora instead of Danny and like swapping them out when she saw like this child on her child's bed, like she did with that little boy that she found all those years ago and ended up killing. So I thought that was a neat way of kind of that switching around, and just a solution I thought was very well set up, very clever. So there were kind of some big recurring phrases throughout the show. Perfectly Splendid was the obvious one, because my god, she said that a lot in episode 1. They wanted you to know that was going to be a thing. Then it's you, it's me, it's us, one day at a time. They had a few things kind of echoing through that I really enjoyed. And just seeing how that played out with Viola going into Danny, all the ghosts being free, moving on. In a way, I kind of wish it happened a bit later in the episode. It feels like we got to the ending very quickly, but we also needed the time with Jamie and Danny, I think, to properly establish how long they were together, how long they had, Danny's struggle with Viola and everything. But it would have meant a lot more time with Hannah. And Peter was literally in that. He had like one line in this episode, and he was gone. It would have been cool to have like a final goodbye moment with Jessica, but she's just gone, and like all the other ghosts, like the little boy and stuff, just all gone. So in a way, I kind of wish we had maybe an extra like couple of minutes and like an extra 5-10 minutes before we got to that point. But I guess that's the point, isn't it? That we're never going to have enough Hannah. I guess that is the point of it. Because while Jamie and Danny, they did have that time together, Flora and her now husband, they're going to have a life together. Then you come to Hannah and Owen, that it didn't even get any time at all, because it was over before it even started, really, because Hannah was dead. But the fact that, he kept a photo of her in a restaurant, and she tried to get Henry to tell him that she loved him. She wished she could have gone with him. That whole open sequence with her, my god, what amazing performances from them. Seeing Owen have to help her out of the well, and he stayed with her the whole time until they buried her, just kill me. So that I found very, very emotional as well. I've loved Hannah and Owen's relationship so much during this. And again, it's incredibly bittersweet, because they did love each other and they should have had time to kind of explore that, but they just didn't, which is why Peter can absolutely burn. I'm sorry, Miles. If you're that sorry, you wouldn't have taken over a little kid's body, you prick. But still, he's burning somewhere now, so that's okay. But at least like Jessica, etc., they're all kind of at peace now. Hopefully they've moved on to wherever. And Hannah as well. That moment when she's like, didn't finish a sentence, it just cut. It's like, screw you. It did seem like she's going to talk about she said the confetti line that Nell says in Hill House. It seemed like that's where it was going. It wouldn't have made any sense for her to say, and the rest is just confetti. So, has no bearing on her character or the plot. But it's a nice little maybe reference to it. So yeah, very, very sad how that all ended up, but some incredible kind of character work and acting from everyone really across the board. It was phenomenal. That has been kind of a staple of these kind of shows. So that was nice. Henry, going back to the house, immediately getting basically killed. Quite lucky that he was still kind of on the brink of it, and they managed to bring him back just as Danny made that sacrifice. But the fact that he, became sober, he kept looking after the kids, he became that kind of parental figure in their lives. And just as the idea of Jamie never really telling the kids the truth about what happened in Bly, and that the story was real for them. I'm not sure if Henry really told Flora, by the way, I'm your biological father. I think some things just left unsaid, but I liked that this episode showcased, the whole show really, the power of telling a story. I liked a little, I did tell you it was long, or it wasn't short or something, because it was 9 whole ass hours. And Henry kind of saying, I've got so many stories I can tell you about your mum and dad. So the kind of impact that can have on people and how they perceive the world and stuff. I liked how that all tied in. So it was cool to, Henry kind of got a sense of clarity and peace and redemption in himself. So that was nice. And, you know, so many of like the hauntings, whether they're ghosts or not in Bly, you know, have been very negative. We had the whole thing with Danny and Eddie, Henry and like his true evil self, and then the literal ghosts in Bly. It was nice that the final one we saw was actually a positive one, with Jamie always seeing or trying to see Danny, and Danny actually always being there. I like that was kind of a positive one. That was someone you wanted to see. And so much of the ghosts have been personifications of like anger or jealousy or hate, or guilt or grief. But Danny being able to like haunt Jamie is kind of the personification of love. I think that's a really nice kind of way of ending it. And like that being the last spirit ghost thing we see in the show, was the first one we kind of saw suffering with that kind of thing when we first met her in episode 1, and what it symbolises. So I just think that's a really nice kind of message to end on. And yeah, it's been cool seeing Danny and Jamie's relationship be explored across the show and really show how good they were together during that little time they had. Danny's kind of struggle with, is it even still me? And like, I don't see me as much anymore. It just seems to be her. And like Jamie again taking on some burdens, being like, oh, you know, I can love enough for the both of us, or I can do all the washing up from now on, you shit anyway. I just love that the character who said, oh, I'm not sure if many people are even worth it, you know, I'll stick to my plants, thanks. She was the one telling this love story, and I like that Flora kind of made that, no, it wasn't a ghost story, it was a love story, and that kind of ties into, you know, the last haunting being a personification of love more than anything else, because that is what this was. So I enjoyed that, and I think they did like market it as like another Hill House kind of horror-esque story. I haven't seen the trailers or anything, but if they have marketed it in that way, and then you watch it and like, it is kind of a love story really. I kind of like that would like reflect exactly what goes down in the plot. So that'd be interesting. I'll have to watch the trailers now and see if they made this look like super spooky. Like it's just going to be another like full-on horror thing. Because I don't think it was anywhere near as scary as Hill House, but it was doing something completely different, so it didn't need to be. I didn't want it to just be a copy and paste Hill House because we already had that. So I love how there were still creepy, scary moments in it, but they were really tackling some different themes and different stuff. So yeah, I loved it. I loved what they did with this little kind of ending. You know, it's either bittersweet, the endings for people, because obviously Hannah should have had the rest of her life, and it's just Peter being a dick. So we had all of that, and you know, Danny's fate is also very bittersweet, but it came out of an act of love in the end because she didn't want to hurt Jamie. So she became like the new Lady of the Lake and ensures that no one will ever get hurt by Viola again. I really like that kind of power balance. And for everyone else, you know, they either forgot or they've found some peace, I guess, in a sense. I think little moments, well, we know what Jamie's going through and how Flora was kind of saying, how am I supposed to, you know, go on without my person if they die or something? And we know now that Jamie was listening to that being like, really bitch. I mean, she wasn't like that, but that was her existence, and it would seem like Owen was also going through that. We didn't really explore that as much, but she said in the story like, oh, and Owen still loves her still, whatever. And then we had that little moment as they were all leaving where Owen, you know, put his hand on Jamie's shoulder, so I think he still kind of knows and understands. And the old man, who was Henry, I think, he also, as he walked past, he like stopped and just like looked at Jamie for a bit. So I like that there's still kind of a mutual thing there, a mutual understanding, because I'm sure they all remember. So it's kind of like, you know, we're here for you, we're going through it too. So I like that it's not entirely alone, even though that shot was so depressing of the wedding where all these people were in couples having a great time, and then it was just Jamie right at the back, because that's me. So as depressing as that was, it's not like she's entirely alone in things. When it comes to love, perhaps, but even then, she doesn't know that she isn't, because it seems Danny is always there. At least that's what I like to think, that Danny's basically always there. But yeah, I did enjoy how that all kind of played out, and I don't think it's as super happy per se as Hill House was, but I did like the bit of sweetness of it. I think it worked effectively, because Erin and Hannah, that's more a tragedy. I guess in a way a lot of the relationships are in this, but it still came down to the reason this story managed to see the light of day and get told in the first place was because the little girl who was so troubled in Bly Manor found happiness and found a life for herself, found love, and that kind of gathered all these people back together again so they could hear this story be told and remember Danny, but not in a way in what she did, remember Hannah, but not what she did as well. It was a really, really cool how they kind of structured that from the very beginning, when we saw the older Jamie, not that we knew at the time, kind of settling in to tell the story, and then the reveal of who it really was and who the other people there were. Really well done. I loved how they wrapped it all up. I think it was a very satisfying conclusion to it all. And yeah, I've loved it. It's been a really fantastic series from beginning to end. I was very into the characters and the plot right from episode 1, fully interested and excited by it. And they've done some great stuff with it. Some really creepy moments, some really cool scares, some great design work. But the character work and the acting has been phenomenal, as was the case with Hill House. But yeah, I really loved that it was something very different, but just as beautiful a story, I think, that they managed to tell. So good, so effective. And I love how they ended it off with, just that shot of Jamie asleep, but Danny's there. I think that's kind of a nice way of ending it, because it's some hope, I guess. I think when they went back to like the future, they could have easily made it like overly sad and depressing, being like, yep, Jamie's all alone now, Owen's all alone, they don't remember, Danny, who was quite impactful for them. I'm sure they'd want to remember if they could, but can't, because things were horrible. And what happened to Hannah's awful, what happened to Danny ultimately is awful as well. Even if it is her own choice, it's still not a great fate, is it? But they didn't lean into that, and they more so lent into the one day at the time aspect of Jamie's kind of whole deal and her personality, which makes sense because she's the one telling the story. So I like how they also reflected that in how they portrayed this ending to be a bit happier and more upbeat than they easily could have framed it as. So I thought that was a really nice message to end on. And yeah, fantastic show. Very glad I checked it out. Ever since I did Hill House last Halloween, people were asking if I was going to do this. Here we are. So yeah, I've loved it. I'm so glad I managed to do it. Long year waiting to get round to it, but we didn't really have time to do it at any other point. So there we go. That was The Haunting of Bly Manor. I adored it. Fantastic. Love this finale as well. So see you next year for Midnight Mass. I mean, that's not a promise yet. We'll see. But yeah, I've really, really loved this series. Some beautiful stories, some beautiful acting. It all came together very nicely, considering how confused it makes you at the start. It wrapped up in a really lovely way. So I adored it. Can't wait to see what other kind of Mike Flanagan stuff there is out there. And yeah, just really, really great. And I hope you guys all enjoyed these reactions as well. If you're watching on Patreon, I hope you've enjoyed binging them. So I would have just dropped them all in one go for you to enjoy. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're watching the YouTube cut, happy Halloween for tomorrow, and I hope you've enjoyed this series as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing like the general consensus about all the episodes and stuff, because at this point normally with the show I would have already posted a couple of reactions, so I get the general feel of like who's watching and how they feel about certain characters and stuff, but I literally have no idea how this is publicly received. For all I know, everyone hates this. I doubt it, because I got a lot of people when I did Hill House saying please do Bly Manor, so I really don't think that's the case. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of interact with that and be able to talk about the entire show and what they're going for right from the beginning with episode 1. So that should be really great. Something very different for me. It's very rare that I actually watch the full thing before I'm posting reactions to them. So hopefully you've enjoyed them. At the point of recording this, I have the previous 8 episodes edited and ready to go. So there shouldn't be any issues getting this out in time. But yeah, I hope you've very much enjoyed the reactions as much as I've enjoyed recording them, editing them, putting them all together. Happy Halloween. And if you're watching this on the day this is published on YouTube, do stay tuned for tomorrow, where I'm doing a full kind of live watch along. Well, I say live, it's gonna be live for me in a way. Watch along of a old movie. So yes, happy Halloween. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, until next time, one day at a time.